Hi everybody and welcome back. This is Tristan from Estimote and I have two things I want to talk about with you today. The first one is I have a poll here in the upper right hand corner in the card thingy that's going to be up there somewhere. And what I'm wanting to do is, like I've said a few times now, I'm kind of run out of stuff to talk about as far as Weebly is concerned, and I'd like to kind of branch out into some other subjects. And one of the things that I've been working on just as kind of a side project, and actually I guess I've been doing it for a few years now, is I've actually done mentoring for translators who want to start their own translation businesses, either freelance work or setting up a small agency, what have you. And I actually started working on a separate channel for this kind of stuff just to kind of get the information out there. And as I was working on it, I kind of kept thinking, I should probably do a video like this for my main channel, which is this one. Just because a lot of the concepts that I'm talking about are actually very similar to what I'm doing right now with this business. So like, setting up a website, getting in contact with customers, managing clients, managing projects, all that kind of stuff. It's basically the same business to business. I mean, business is almost always going to just be business. And so I thought that maybe that might be something you guys would be interested in as well. And again, I'll probably just use the translation business as an example for this particular series. Like, if that's something you guys would be interested in seeing. I have 1,500 subscribers on here, but only about 50 of you are actually active. And so if those 50 people of you would be interested in seeing something like that, like I said, just kind of how I've set up my business, how I've managed my business, let me know. Take part in the poll, and I am excited to see the results from that. Now, on to the stuff that you guys are probably more interested in, the beacons. So I talked about these a little bit in a few videos back, and I was talking about how cool I thought the concept was and how excited I was about going out and actually getting some of these and starting to play around with them. Well, I've got some and I've been playing around with them, and as you can see here behind us on the screen, I've actually been able to send out a lot of traffic with these things. We're up to almost 2,000 clicks, and that mostly took place, and there's a little bit back here about a month ago, but starting on February 22nd, today is the 13th, so it's been so almost 3 weeks. I managed to pick up a lot of traffic off of these things. So let me explain just quickly how this works and what it is I'm actually doing here. What's neat about these Estimote Beacons is that they can be programmed to work with a lot of different platforms. Right now, I'm aware of three big ones. You have the iBeacons, which is mostly set up for, iOS devices, so your Apples, your iPads, and all those funny little things. You have the Eddistones, which are a little bit more geared towards the Android kind of side of things. Now, of course, both these platforms are interchangeable. You just kind of have to set everything up so they work and they talk together. But the last one is called the physical web, and this is something that Google's trying to put together. And if you have an Android device, I'm not sure if it's on Apple's or not, but on an Android device, if you have the Google Chrome app, if you go to your settings and then you go to configurations, then go to settings, and then you go down to privacy, then towards the very bottom there's an option that says physical web. And if that's turned on, then if you have one of these beacons and it's programmed to work with the physical web, which is what I've done here, then anytime you come in contact with it, you'll actually get a notification with, in this particular case, a link to a website. And it's really cool. So since we've moved, and since the last couple of weeks, it's just been absolutely insane. We've been driving all over the place, looking at houses, dropping stuff up at storage, picking stuff up from storage. We've driven up and down our main street a good 15, 20, 30 times. Way too much. It's been insane. But what I did was I programmed this particular beacon right here. I have three of these. I programmed this one to go to this client website, which you guys can see in the back. And I programmed it to go with the physical web app or function in those Chrome apps. Okay. So as I drove up and down Main Street and I had this thing set to its highest range, then every single car that drove by that had those settings turned on would get a notification about my little device here and about this website. And as you can see, we got a lot of clicks. This shows the number of clicks that that the device received. So I didn't really go anywhere on Tuesday. You can see we spent a lot of time driving. It's been absolutely insane. But it's been really, really, really cool. So like I said, you can see we had almost 2,000 clicks come from this. That's 2,000 clicks going from just random people in my town to my customer's website. And that means more work for him, more money for him, and everybody's been really happy. So if you look at like Google AdWords and you try and get an idea about how much each of these clicks would normally cost, we are currently running some AdWord campaigns for him, and the keywords that we're going after cost between 35 cents to about $1 each. So if we pull up my calculator real quick, so we got we'll just call it 2,000 because math is bad, times 30. Whoops, that's 3 cents per click. So that's $720 worth of clicks on the low end, and then obviously if we go at the high end, we're looking at about $2,000. So with this thing, if I were to charge $200 for this, set one of the things up, put it in your car, you can drive around town and get clients that way, then I could charge $500 for this and you'd still be making a lot more money off it. You'd still be getting things a lot cheaper than you would if you were to be paying for that paid traffic. Now, of course, it's also going to depend on how targeted that traffic's going to be and things like that, because obviously there's going to be some difference between a very targeted keyword and those ads compared to just blanketing an entire area. But it's still pretty neat, and so I'm very excited about adding these things to my arsenal as far as digital marketing and promotion. There are a couple of downsides to these things as it stands, at least for us folks who don't know how to program apps. So I've spoken with a few different developers, and what they tell me is that the beacons themselves are actually all individual. There's not like some big beacon link repository thing somewhere out there. No, there is no database. It's each individual beacon has its own specific codes and things like that. And so because of that, it's impossible to make a generic app that will just work with all beacons everywhere. Okay? So what you have to do is you actually have to make individual apps for sets of beacons. So like for example, if I want to place beacons all around my city, then I would need to make one app that would be able to read all the beacons that I am working with. So I've got these 3 beacons, so I'd have to program all 3 of these beacons to work with this particular app and vice versa. And that can get a little bit expensive. So the system that I'm working with, Estimote, who is the company who actually makes these beacons right here, they actually have pretty much everything you need to create your own apps if you know how to run the software, and I don't, not yet. But again, like I said, I have spoken with a few developers, and the costs for getting one of these apps put together is about $3,000 per platform. So if you want to do just Android, it's going to be $3,000. If you want to do Android and iPhone, it's going to cost you about $6,000, which can obviously get a little bit expensive. However, I also have found a couple of platforms which are web-based, content management systems, but built for apps. Think of it like a Weebly for apps. And so what you can do with this is, in theory at least, once they've added the beacon features, which they said they're going to be adding here in the next few months, then we can create all of that. We can create our own apps, and then just very simple apps, because all it has to do is read the signal from the beacon, which is going to be a URL, and take you to the website. So give me a clickable URL, and that's all I need. So just like beep, and you're on the website. It's just easier for us at least to manage a website than it is to manage a full-blown app. So that's kind of what we're looking for. And that would allow me to drop the prices down by quite a bit as well, because obviously if I'm going to be selling this, programming it, setting up the website, setting up all the content on the websites, and then also commissioning the app to be built, I would have to charge at least $7,000 just to cover my expenses. And so if I want to actually make any money off of it, then we're looking anywhere between $8,000 to $10,000. And most businesses aren't going to be able to afford that, at least here in my area. Obviously, there are going to be others who can, but for the market that I'm working in, it just isn't feasible. However, with this other option, I could probably bring that down to $500 on the very, very low end for very simple stuff, to maybe $5,000 for something a little bit more advanced, just because I'm cutting out that huge expense that comes from the app itself. So that is very, very cool. But again, I just kind of wanted to show you guys, move this thing down here again, just how neat this is and what kind of potential we could do with these things. If you have a roofing business, put one of these things in your truck and drive around an area that's been affected by a storm. You know, I moved out here from Missouri, and we had to deal with tornadoes and hailstorms and ice storms and all kinds of crazy stuff. So if you know where an area has been affected by a tornado, stick this thing on your truck, offer a free, if you're a roofing company, offer a free roof inspection after each storm. Offer, you know, whatever kind of inspection or consultation or an estimate or whatever, and use it as a lead generation tool, which would be awesome. You know, if you're in a restaurant, put this thing in your restaurant. If you're in a grocery store, put this thing in this grocery store and let people know about coupons or any kind of discounts that are going on. Or, like I said, in the case of this guy here, if you own a car detailing company, if you clean cars for a living, and you know that there's a big storm coming, we just had, it's all gone now, but we got a few inches of snow a couple weeks ago. You know, that really dirties up a car. Drive around with this thing, everybody goes, oh my gosh, my car's so dirty, I need a really professional cleaning. Hey, you got leads. So that's what's been really cool about this. And like I said, we've been really excited about it, and I'm really excited to see what else I can do with these things. So that is my review of the beacons so far, and just to give you guys a little bit of an idea of where we are at with this thing. So like I said, 2,000 clicks in about 20 days. Not too bad. So that should do it for me today. My name is Tristan from UTSEO.Ninja. Don't forget about the poll, and I will see you guys in the next video. Have an excellent day.